Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a biography, comedy drama film from 2011, The Intouchables. Heads up, spoilers ahead. Late one night in Paris, Driss is behind the wheel, racing through the city with his employer, Philippe. When sitting in traffic gets too dull, Driss floors it, dodging cars, ignoring every traffic sign in sight. The police immediately give chase, and Driss bets €100 he can lose them. He can't. They get cornered under a bridge, ambushed from both sides. But Driss isn't sweating it. He ups the bet to €200, this time wagering he can score them a police escort instead. He steps out of the car and puts on a performance, acting deeply offended and insisting Philippe is having a medical emergency. The officers check the trunk, find the wheelchair, then approach Philippe, who is convulsing right on cue. Convinced it's urgent, the cops drop the charges and personally escort them to the hospital. To celebrate winning the bet, Driss cranks up September by Earth, Wind and Fire. The moment they arrive and the cops disappear, he and Philippe share a smoke and slip away. Philippe and his assistant Magali had been sitting through a long, painful series of job interviews to find a new caretaker. Every candidate was either too stiff or too awkward. Then Driss barges in, not even waiting for his turn, making it clear he's only there for a signature confirming he wasn't hired, so he can keep collecting unemployment. He's blunt, a little rude, and even tries to flirt with Magali on the spot. Philippe finds the whole thing refreshing and tells him to come back the next day for his signed papers. That evening, Driss heads home to his crowded neighborhood apartment, trying to squeeze in a bath while his younger siblings refuse to give him a moment's peace, until his older sister Mina steps in. While waiting for their mom, he spots his brother Adama stepping out of a suspicious car outside. Adama walks in, mutters something about being at school, grabs his bag and leaves, which only makes Driss more suspicious. When their mother finally arrives that evening, Driss tries to smooth things over with a Fabergé egg he stole and a story about being on vacation. She doesn't buy any of it. 6 months of silence, no calls, no contact, and now he shows up acting like nothing happened. Done with his excuses and focused on the other kids depending on her, she kicks him out for good. Driss spends the night outside with friends from the neighborhood, smoking and snacking. The next morning, he heads back to Philippe's to collect his papers, but Yvonne, the housekeeper, gives him the full tour first. She walks him through Philippe's daily routine and shows him the private room he'd have, complete with his own bathroom. Driss can't stop staring at that bathtub. When he finally sits down with Philippe, he's handed both the signed rejection paper and a genuine job offer. Driss takes the trial, 1 month. Philippe tells him he won't last 2 weeks. From day one, Driss is thrown into the deep end, learning how to keep Philippe's legs stimulated, transfer him into the wheelchair, help him shower, and get him dressed. Things get uncomfortable fast when Driss realizes the job includes pulling on Philippe's compression stockings and cleaning up after bathroom visits. But no matter how loudly he protests, he does it. That evening, while enjoying a snack up on the roof, Driss gets interrupted by Philippe's daughter Elisa and her boyfriend Bastien, hunting for a private spot. He sends them both packing and refuses to share his beer. Driss adapts to the routine quickly, though not without a few early slip-ups, handing Philippe the phone instead of holding it to his ear, or forgetting the baby monitor while taking a bath. He also learns how Philippe likes his mail sorted. Most letters he opens, but one specific set is strictly off-limits. When Driss finds a flyer for female escorts in the pile, he quietly starts a dedicated folder, rather than tossing it like he's told. Off the clock, life is still good. He keeps pursuing Magali with 0 success and occasionally brings escorts back to his room. One morning, Yvonne comes to drag him out of bed for being late and spots some weapons in his bag. She says nothing, for now. His assignment for the day is to drive Philippe around. Driss flat out refuses to put him in a van like cargo, so he grabs one of the sleek cars collecting dust in the garage instead. Philippe initially pushes back, says they should be practical, but quickly warms up to the idea of a faster, more exciting ride. Yvonne, predictably, does not approve. On the way out, a neighbor is parked right in front of the exit, ignoring the no parking sign. Driss doesn't waste time. He grabs the guy by his shirt and makes him move the car. Philippe is impressed. Yvonne is not. Their first outing takes them to a museum, where Philippe is eyeing a piece of artwork, just a red blotch on a canvas, that Driss thinks is an absolute waste of money. Afterward, one of Philippe's relatives pulls him aside and raises concerns about Driss, the aggression, the criminal record. Philippe doesn't care. What he values is that Driss doesn't walk on eggshells around him, doesn't pity him, and actually makes him laugh. That evening, after another failed attempt at winning Magali over, Driss has dinner with Yvonne in the kitchen. Through the baby monitor, they catch Philippe dictating a letter to Magali. Yvonne turns it off and fills Driss in on the secret. Philippe has been exchanging letters with a woman named Eleonore for some time now. Those are the letters Driss was never allowed to open. The relationship is entirely through writing. They've never actually met. Driss teases Yvonne about the gardener who clearly has eyes for her, then heads off to bed, only to be woken up by sounds through the baby monitor. Philippe is struggling to breathe. Driss tries to ignore it, but can't. He heads to Philippe's room and calmly talks him through the episode, wiping his face with a cool cloth until Philippe drifts off. Minutes later, Philippe is awake again. He needs air. Without hesitation, Driss wraps him in blankets, puts him in the wheelchair, and takes him out for a late-night roll along the river. It's the first time Philippe has seen Paris at night in a very long time. More relaxed now, Philippe opens up, explaining that his medication only goes so far and that phantom pain still hits him without warning. He also admits, quietly, that his condition makes physical intimacy impossible, though he's found that having his ears massaged brings him some comfort since they've become sensitive. When the phantom pain starts creeping back, Driss offers him a joint. Philippe is hesitant at first, then he loves it. They end up at a restaurant, sharing a meal and trading jokes well into the night. Philippe finally opens up about the hardships that changed his life forever. He explains that he met his wife while they were both students, and after they married, they experienced the heartbreak of losing 5 pregnancies. Not long afterward, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Wanting to build a family despite everything, they adopted a daughter, Elisa. Philippe also shares how much he once enjoyed adventure, speed, and paragliding. Unfortunately, one flight ended in tragedy when harsh weather caused him to crash, leaving him paralyzed. Even so, he says the wheelchair isn't his greatest burden. Living without his wife is. As they continue talking, Philippe realizes Driss has successfully completed his 1-month probation and officially hires him. The following day, Driss meets Mina outside her school. She's disappointed that he has ignored most of her messages and only contacted her to ask about the missing egg. She also warns him that the police have been calling their house. Later, Driss visits Adama, who admits he was caught carrying 30 grams of drugs. Although Driss invites him out for lunch, Adama refuses and instead gets into the same suspicious car that has been following him. Later, Driss sits in as Philippe dictates another heartfelt letter to Eleonore, while Magali writes it down. Driss thinks the letter is far too formal and encourages Philippe to speak more naturally. He is shocked to discover that after 6 months of exchanging letters, neither of them has ever seen the other's face. Spotting Eleonore's phone number, Driss calls her without hesitation, forcing Philippe to speak with her directly for the first time. The conversation goes surprisingly well, and Philippe soon finds himself talking to her regularly, even during a visit to the opera, where Driss can't help making jokes about the performers' costumes. The next day, Driss persuades Philippe to exchange photographs with Eleonore, and selects a recent picture showing him in his wheelchair. Later, while painting, Driss is interrupted by Elisa, who asks for cigarettes and mocks his artwork. Annoyed, he sends her out before confronting Philippe, insisting that Elisa needs stricter discipline. At the same time, Philippe quietly asks Yvonne to replace the wheelchair photo with one taken before his accident. She quickly hides the original picture just before Driss walks in, complaining about Elisa's behavior. Philippe agrees to speak with his daughter. Days roll on, and the friendship between Philippe and Driss grows into something real. Driss takes him out to play in the snow, runs alongside his wheelchair during morning jogs, and starts painting in his spare time. When Driss finishes his first painting, Magali slaps him for trying to steal a kiss, but Philippe genuinely loves it and promises to find a buyer. Life gets better for both of them. A faster car, shared joints, even escorts hired together. Then Philippe's birthday arrives and he's already dreading it. Every year, it's the same routine. Pretend to be surprised, smile at relatives who only show up to confirm he's still breathing, sit through the whole thing. Predictably boring. While the guests enjoy live classical music downstairs, Driss slips away and finds Elisa crying in her room. She's swallowed some of Yvonne's pills, though not enough to do serious harm. Bastien broke up with her and said something cruel. She asks Driss to handle it. He agrees, for a price. Back downstairs, Philippe is showing off Driss's painting to a relative and manages to talk him into buying it for 11,000 euros. Driss chats with Yvonne, who lets it slip that Magali is in a rocky relationship with someone named Fred, which Driss takes as an opening. As the party winds down, Philippe walks him through the most important pieces in classical music history. Driss responds with jokes. Then he pulls out his iPod, drops Boogie Wonderland by Earth, Wind and Fire, and takes over the dance floor. He's electrifying, and somehow convinces the entire room to join him. Philippe watches, genuinely happy. Later, helping Philippe to bed, Driss opens Eleonore's latest letter. She sent a photo, she's lovely, and says she'll be in Paris next week and wants to finally meet. When the day comes, Driss and Yvonne spend the morning cycling through outfit after outfit until they land on the right one. Since Yvonne is the one taking Philippe to the date, Driss uses his free time to pay Bastien a visit. He makes the boy agree to apologize to Elisa, deliver croissants to her every morning, and, importantly, fix that haircut. After that, he drives past his mother's workplace. At the restaurant, Philippe and Yvonne wait, and wait. After an hour with no sign of Eleanor, Philippe calls Driss and asks to be taken home. He leaves, and Eleanor walks through the door seconds later, just missing him. That same night, Philippe takes Driss up in his private plane and hands him the 11,000 euros from the painting sale. Driss is overwhelmed. The next morning, they're in the countryside, and Philippe announces they're going paragliding. Driss wants nothing to do with it, but gets dragged along anyway. He panics, then soars, then loves every second of it. When they return home, Adama is sitting there waiting. Driss takes one look at the bruises on his face and lays into him, but Adama still won't say what's going on. Driss puts him in his room, calls Mina to reassure her, then goes to help Philippe to bed. But Philippe isn't ready to sleep. He points Driss toward a painting, then starts asking about his family. Driss resists, then opens up. The truth is, Adama isn't technically his brother. The people he calls his parents are actually his aunt and uncle. They brought him over from Senegal when he was 8 because they couldn't have children of their own. His real name is Bakari Bassari. Kids mangled it into Idris, and that eventually became Driss. Years later, his aunt got pregnant, a surprise no one expected. After his uncle passed away, more men came and more children followed. Philippe listens carefully, then turns it back on him. Adama needs someone, the same way Elisa needed someone. So Philippe does something unexpected. He fires Driss. Not out of anger. He tells him he can't spend his whole life caring for an old man when his family needs him more. The next morning, Bastien arrives with his daily croissant, hair noticeably tidier. Driss packs his bags. Magali comes to say goodbye, and when Driss makes one last attempt to flirt, she introduces him to Fred, short for Frederic. Magali was never interested in men. Driss drops it immediately. On his way out, he hands the baby monitor back to Yvonne and calls her out for letting him believe Magali was available. She hands him the escort folder he'd been building. He opens it, finds the photo he'd set aside for himself, pockets it, and drops the rest in the trash. Outside, he finds a car blocking the entrance again. He tells the driver to move, even though he doesn't work there anymore. Adama calls him out on it. Driss shrugs. It's the principal. A few hours later, the brothers go to pick up their mother from the station. Back at the house, Philippe sits down for dinner with his new caretaker. Stiff, formal, utterly joyless. Philippe gets up and leaves before taking a single bite. Yvonne is out on a date with the gardener, so there's nobody left to stop him. Life goes back to what it was for Driss. He hangs out with his old crew and has a word with the men who've been circling Adama, telling them to leave his brother alone. When he walks into a job interview he's clearly underqualified for, he ends up winning the employer over by calling himself pragmatic and name-dropping art knowledge he picked up from Philippe. He walks out with a position as a driver. Meanwhile, Philippe can't stand his new caretaker and has been in a sour mood for weeks. One night, the phantom pain comes back hard, and Philippe refuses help from everyone in the house. Yvonne makes the call. Driss shows up. That's how the two of them end up in the opening scene. Being chased by police through Paris at midnight, Philippe faking a seizure, both of them winning the bet. After the chaos dies down, Driss drives to the coast. The sea does what nothing else could. Philippe finally settles. A little while later, Driss grooms Philippe's overgrown beard and takes him to a restaurant for lunch, but doesn't stay. Someone else is coming. Before leaving, he slips Philippe back the Fabergé egg he'd been holding onto. Philippe sits alone, anxious. Then the door opens. It's Eleanor, warm, smiling, completely unbothered by the wheelchair. In real life, the man who inspired Philippe, Count Philippe Pozzo di Borgo, now lives in Morocco. He remarried and has 2 daughters. The real Driss, whose name is Abdel Yasmin Selou, runs his own company and has a family with 3 children. To this day, the 2 men remain the best of friends.